Week 16. We are down to the final 3 weeks of the regular season, man. I still just can't believe how fast this season flew by. And the tournament members, as you know from my post, a couple of playoff scenarios have been clinched in my tournament. So, yeah, we're really getting down to the good stuff here. I am currently recording this on Monday afternoon, so my matchup between the Dolphins and Steelers on Monday night to wrap up Week 15 has not started, but pretty busy these next couple weeks, so I need to get this out as early as I possibly can. So I am recording this on Monday afternoon, but another less than ideal week for me in Week 15, currently 9-6 as I'm recording this. Couple of games that cost me, but yeah, my margin for error is really low when it comes to clinching the playoffs in my tournament. But enough of that. Week 16 features some really good matchups, and let's get on to it. So, kicking things off for Week 16, right off the bat, we got my game of the week. We got the Rams at the Seahawks, Thursday Night Football, and something that I should have said before I started, I will have playoff scenarios for games if they have one on the top of the screen. I don't know them yet, but I will probably get them tomorrow, being Tuesday, because this is premiering on Wednesday, but I'm recording this on Monday, so I'm going to get the playoff scenarios on Tuesday, okay? That is tomorrow, all right? So, yeah, sorry that's confusing. But anyway, Rams and the Seahawks. I believe if LA wins this game, they clinch the West, because the Rams already beat Seattle, and the Rams clinched a playoff spot with a win over Detroit, 41-34, where Matthew Stafford continues his MVP season. Really great game for him, and it's just a matchup of two top 5 defenses going at it in this one. LA's defense is incredible. Seattle's defense is incredible. Seahawks are coming off of an 18-16 win over the Colts, where the Seahawks won by pulling a Chris Boswell in the 2016 AFC Divisional against Kansas City, where all of Seattle's points came from Jason Myers' toe in an 18-16 win. So Seattle did not find the end zone, but they still got the win. Style points don't really matter in the NFL. All that matters is that you win. The Seahawks are closer to a playoff spot. So yeah, I think if LA wins this game, they will clinch the West. So right off the bat, I'm looking at whose defense is going to blink first. To me, it's probably going to be Seattle's because of the weapons that the Rams have. Main highlight here, Puka Nacua going off on Detroit for 181 yards and got a touchdown. And Kyron Williams found the end zone as well. So to me, LA's offense is more well-rounded and more balanced than Seattle's is. Where the Seahawks, they got a great offense for sure. Sam Darnold, great season for him. Zach Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker, great 1-2 punch in the backfield. And, of course, you got JSN continuing to lead the league in receiving yards. But I think LA being down Davante Adams with a hamstring injury, his status is currently unknown for this game. We're going to get an update on that as the week goes by. But I think Davante Adams being injured is really going to hurt LA here. But like I said, the last time these two met, Sam Darnold threw 4 picks against them the last time they met, and the Seahawks are staying at home. To their credit, they are staying at home, and it's a short week for both teams. So I think Seattle has the advantage. But to me, like I said, style points don't really matter, but there are times where you have to look at they won, but, and the Seahawks are a case of that. They won, but they had trouble against the Colts a lot in that game, and they were in a position to where Phillip Rivers could have for once led his team to a game-winning touchdown drive, and instead he went back to vintage Phillip Rivers throwing a game-losing interception. So Seattle's defense came up big there, but now they're going up against the MVP frontrunner and a more dynamic offense in LA. So to me, it's whose defense blinks first. To me, it's Seattle. And whose offense is more well-rounded? The Rams. I want to take Seattle here, but I'm going to go ahead and take the Rams to complete the sweep of the Seahawks, possibly wrap up the West, and LA continues to march forward to the number 1 seed in the NFC. Seattle, you got to wait at least another week to clinch a playoff spot, but don't get it twisted. This is going to be the best game of the week, and we get to see it on primetime on Thursday night. But I got the Rams winning a very close one here over the Seahawks. And then around this time, we usually get Saturday games, and we got 2 Saturday games this week. First at bat, we got the rematch of last year's NFC Championship between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Washington Redskins in D.C., but this is looking anything like an NFC Championship game rematch. The Eagles coming off pitching a shutout against the Raiders 31-0, where Philly's offense finally got in flow. Defense pitched a shutout. We knew Philly's defense was really good, and to me it was only a matter of time before they would shut out an opponent. And they did that to the Raiders, which, yeah, you can say it comes with an asterisk because the Raiders are tanking, but still, they pitched a shutout. You know, shutouts are very hard to do in today's NFL, and oddly enough, we had 2 shutouts in Week 15. Then you got Washington. They snapped their losing streak with a win against the Giants, but, you know, kind of like the Raiders, the Giants, it's no cause for celebration for beating the Giants either. They're 2-12 on the year. They're tanking to get the first overall pick, which I think the Giants would get the first overall pick if the draft were to start today. But regardless, this is a Saturday game. Philly wants the East. Dallas was eliminated from wild card contention on Sunday night with their loss. I'm going to take the Eagles here because I think with this win here, they clinch the East. Like I said, the playoff scenarios are going to be posted on the screen if there are any. But yeah, regardless, I'm taking Philly to win this one relatively easily over Washington. And then Saturday night, we got a rematch from a couple weeks ago. My rivalry of the week again. The Green Bay Packers going to Chicago to face the Bears. Green Bay 9-4-1, coming off of a tough loss to the Denver Broncos, but the Packers lost more than just that game. They lost Christian Watson on offense, which is already huge for their injured offense right there. So Josh Jacobs really needs to step things up, and I think he's capable of doing that because he had a nice game against Denver, but Josh Jacobs really needs to take a lot of pressure off of Jordan Love, who threw 2 picks against Denver. So that needs to get established in this game, but you got the big one. Micah Parsons, in that game against Denver, tore his ACL, done for the year. That is a massive blow to Green Bay's Super Bowl ambitions right there. Don't get me wrong, I still think the Packers will be good enough to be in the playoffs, but as far as them being a Super Bowl contender goes, that's gone. So Green Bay comes in this game really banged up. Doesn't help that they're on a somewhat shortened week here, and they're going to Chicago. At least it's not a long road trip. It's just a bus drive down south, so at least it's not a really long road trip. You got the Bears, who are 10-4 on the year. They are now back to leading the NFC North, and they're coming off of a 31-3 shellacking over the Cleveland Browns in Chicago, where Caleb Williams continues to play well. He continues to look like one of the best quarterbacks, one of the best young quarterbacks in the league. Chicago's has a lot of weapons on offense like Green Bay does, but the thing is, Bears are a little banged up on the defensive side of the ball, so this is going to be a testament to see how valuable Jordan Love and Josh Jacobs are here because they're undermanned on offense, whereas Chicago is undermanned on defense. But the thing here, to me, it's going to come down to which offense steps up. Packers got away with one a couple weeks ago against the Bears, but now they're going to Chicago, and like I keep alluding to, it is very difficult to sweep a team, especially when you play said team twice in 3 weeks. Bears were close to winning that game against Green Bay. Jordan Love Caleb Williams threw the game-losing interception in the dying seconds of regulation. So this one's in Chicago. You may call this a stretch, but I'm taking the Bears and I'm calling it my upset of the week. To me, if you're favored to win a game and you don't win, to me, you got upset. So yeah, even though it's going to be a great game, it's a battle of two really good teams going at it, I see this as my upset of the week because the upset picks are kind of sparse this week and I need an upset. So yeah, may call it a stretch, but Chicago's going to be my upset. But really, I can see this going either way. But yeah, I'll just call it my upset for the sake of it. But yeah, I got the Bears avoiding the sweep, earning the split, and I think this would really dampen Green Bay's chances of winning the NFC North here because they swept Detroit, and now with that tie, they can't say they have the tiebreaker over Chicago. So I'm going to go with the Bears to earn the split over Green Bay. Sunday slate of games. First up, we got a really unpredictable matchup here. Tampa Bay Bucs and the Carolina Panthers in Charlotte. So the Bucs are coming off of a loss Thursday night to Atlanta, where the Bucs blew a 14-point lead in the fourth quarter and lost 29-28. So the Bucs, that was a game they needed to win to keep their foot on the pedal in the NFC South even further, and they failed big time against Atlanta. So Tampa does have an advantage, though, where they are traveling, but they're on 3 days rest, so I think that's an advantage for the Bucs right there. Plus, they have a little bit more time to get healthier as well. You know, maybe they weren't at 100% in that game per se against Atlanta, but they had 3 extra days to rest and to get a little healthier, so I think that serves as an advantage for Tampa in this particular game. Carolina, okay, you want me to take you seriously, Carolina? Then you got to beat a team like the Saints. That's all there is to it. The Panthers got swept by New Orleans. Like, how? How do you get swept by the Saints and you want to be taken seriously by everybody? Like, I get it. You need a run game for Bryce Young, but if Bryce Young needs that going just to get the pressure taken off of him and he can prove that he can win games on his own, then he can't win games on his own. He had that one awesome game earlier in the season, but what has he really done since then? Nothing. Not a whole lot. So, like, if the Panthers can get a run game going here, they have a chance, but I'm sorry. Any team who gets swept by one of the worst teams in the NFL, I don't take them seriously all that much. Now, Tampa's defense is their weak spot here, but Carolina, as I just alluded to, they kind of need to be a one-dimensional team to get something going here offensively against Tampa, whereas the Bucs, I think, are just the more well-rounded offensive team going in here. So with that in mind and the fact they're getting healthier and they have a mini bye, I'm going to take Tampa Bay to win this one over Carolina. Like, yeah, Carolina, this was your chance to prove to me that you're legit and that you can steal the South away from Tampa, but you only reinforced that. It was just an illusion. You know, it was just a mirage, and Tampa, to me, is just the better team. I'm taking the Bucs to get it done over Carolina, and when you play them in Week 18 in Tampa, I will most likely take Tampa there too, but I'm taking the Bucs to win it here again. Bills and the Browns in Cleveland, and without hesitation, I am taking Buffalo to win this one. They're not my lock of the week because the Browns, they have had their fair share of playing good against quality teams this year. So I am taking Buffalo, but they're not my lock. I got another one in mind for that. But yeah, the Bills, how about what they did in Foxborough? The Patriots had a chance to wrap up the East against Buffalo, and New England looked well on their way to doing it. They had a 21-0 lead on Buffalo, and the Bills came roaring back, took the lead against New England 28-24 at one point. New England then immediately got the lead right back, and all Josh Allen did was put on his Superman cape and show everyone why he is the reigning MVP with a 3-touchdown day. And Buffalo completed an improbable comeback against the Pats, 35-31. And Buffalo said, "Not so fast, Pats. You're not clinching the East while we're around." So the Bills, they still are a very good team. If they are capable of rallying like that, they can do that to anybody. And the Bills, to me, if they don't at least go to the Super Bowl this year, it's a missed opportunity. The AFC is very beatable this year, and there's no excuse. Kansas City will not be in the playoffs this year. The Ravens have been bad all year. The AFC South has Jacksonville and Houston, but Jacksonville still needs to prove something to me, and Houston's never made it past the divisional. So, like, the way I see it, and, Denver's a really tough team, but I think if there's a team that could beat Denver, it is Buffalo. So, like I said, if the Bills don't at least go to the Super Bowl this year, it's a missed opportunity. The biggest missed opportunity in Josh Allen's career, in my opinion. There's no excuse for Buffalo to not do it. Shedeur Sanders threw 3 interceptions against Chicago, and yeah, he looks terrible like I thought he would. This is going to be an easy win for Buffalo. I'm taking the Bills to beat the Browns soundly here. Chargers and the Cowboys down in Dallas. So the Chargers are the team to do it against Kansas City. They completed the sweep of the Chiefs, and not only that, they knocked the Chiefs out of the playoff race with that win against them in Arrowhead. The Chargers are 10-4 on the year. Defense is playing great. Offense had a pretty quiet day, but, Kansas City, they got a good defense, but still, they did less than what you'd like to see offensively. But still, the Chargers are a pretty good team. I don't know if they're capable of making a deep playoff run, but yeah, this LA team, they are nothing to scoff at. So yeah, LA is well on their way to being a playoff team. That just got easier with sweeping the Chiefs and knocking them out of the playoffs. So yeah, LA is looking pretty good. Then you got the Cowboys, 6-7-1. Tough loss to the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday Night Football. And the Cowboys can no longer be a wild card team in the NFC. So if the Cowboys are going to be in the playoffs, they're going to be the NFC East champions, which is not going to happen. Okay? It's just not going to happen. The Cowboys, their margin for error is gone. And, for a little while, it looked like the Cowboys got revamped, and it looked like they could be like a sleeper team in the NFC. Their defense was looking new and improved, and their offense was clicking, but their defense has went back to how I expected it to be all season. And now they're staying at home to take on a really good Chargers team. I think LA wins this one. I like the Chargers defense. I think their offense is going to do enough to get the job done over a Cowboys team whose season is slipping away. And with this loss right here with the Cowboys, I think that will do it. So I'm taking LA to basically end the Cowboys season right here. All right, Toilet Bowl of the week. The Jets and the Saints down in New Orleans. Oh boy. Toilet Bowl number 4 for the Jets this season. So they are one toilet bowl away from tying the Dolphins for having the most toilet bowls this season. Come on, Jets, you can do it. But yeah, the Jets, they are coming off getting destroyed by the Jaguars down in Jacksonville. They are 3-11 on the year, taking on the, I think, 4-10 Saints, but I don't give a shit what their record is. Both these teams are terrible. I mean, the Jets run the ball okay, but, like, everything else stinks. Brady Cook came in there, and he threw a touchdown pass, but, like, it was well out of reach at that point for the Jets. You knew even then they weren't going to win, okay? There was never a doubt right there. The Saints have shuffled through quarterbacks all season, and their defense is okay, but if they're staying on the field all game long because their offense isn't putting up anything, then the Saints are just going to have a bad game. So who do I possibly have winning this shitfest of a game right here? Well, the way I see it, the Saints were able to come back and beat the Panthers and complete the sweep of them, and the Jets are going to be without Garrett Wilson, so Breece Hall has to carry the load here for the Jets, because like I said, the Jets, they can actually run the ball okay, but if Breece Hall's doing the work and Brady Cook isn't doing anything to help the Jets out, then the Jets, it's just going to be a long day for them. So I got to pick someone to win. I'm going to take the Saints because they're the home team. I don't care about this game, simply because I just think the Saints have a better defense, and the Jets just bring nothing to the table as far as offense goes. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take New Orleans to win this game. Not to say that I can see the Saints winning 2 in a row. It's just the Jets are that bad. So, I'm going to go ahead and go with New Orleans here. I don't care, though. Vikings and the Giants in East Rutherford as Minnesota eliminated from playoff contention, but they are looking to play spoiler for the rest of the season, and they basically spoiled the Cowboys season on Sunday night with a win over them in Dallas, 31-23, where Justin Jefferson or J.J. McCarthy actually had a nice game. But to me, it's to no avail. The Vikings, they're done with. They got nothing else to play for. Taking on the Giants, who are 2-12, dropped it to Washington, got swept by them, and so the Giants, their season is long over with. I think they're just tanking to get the first overall pick, which they would have at the moment, as I said earlier, in my Philly, my Philly-Washington entry. So the Giants, it's just in their best interest to keep on losing. They've done that great. They've lost 8 straight games. I'm taking Minnesota to get the win here. Vikings defense is going to come up big, taking advantage of the Giants' injuries that they got. I don't know if Jackson Dart is still going to play in this game, but to me it doesn't matter. I like the Vikings to win this one over the Giants because at least the Vikings are trying to play with a little bit of inspiration, whereas the Giants are just completely depleted. I'm taking Minnesota to win this one over the Giants. Kansas City Chiefs and the Tennessee Titans in Nashville. So for the first time since 2014, the Kansas City Chiefs will not be in the playoffs. They got eliminated from playoff contention on Sunday with that loss to the Los Angeles Chargers at home. For the first time in Patrick Mahomes' career, he will miss the playoffs. But of course, the biggest headline going around with that game is more than just the Chiefs missing the playoffs. Patrick Mahomes, in that game, tore his ACL, and he is going to miss a lot of time. There is a distinct possibility that the Chiefs will not... There is a distinct possibility that Mahomes may not even play a good portion of next year. At bare minimum, he doesn't come back until like week 3 or week 4 of next year. But if he is out for the maximum, there's a distinct possibility that this time next year, Kansas City could be even worse than what they are right now. ACLs are very difficult to come back from, and ACLs affect people and especially quarterbacks, especially a guy who can run like Mahomes can, very, very differently. So that, man, regardless of how you feel about the Chiefs, personally, I don't care about the Chiefs. I'm indifferent about them. I don't hate them like a lot of people do. And I feel that same way with Mahomes. I don't hate Mahomes. I'm very indifferent with him. I'm annoyed by him. But at the same time, man, at the end of the day, these football players are still human beings at the end of the day. And you never want to see someone get a tragic injury like that, like an ACL. So, yeah, Patrick, just speedy recovery, man. Hopefully you can come back and hopefully you can be strong and continue your career. Like, this is a guy who is undoubtedly going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer if he were to retire today. A multiple-time MVP winner, multiple Super Bowl winner at quarterback, one of the greatest quarterbacks to have ever played. So yeah, Patrick, speedy recovery, man. Hope it goes well, and hope we see you suit up next year and get back on the field, man. God bless. But yeah, Kansas City, as far as their season goes, they're done. Like, I said going into last week, the Chiefs were done. And in case any of you still had some hope for Kansas City going into that game against the Chargers, this should have been the final nail in the coffin for you. Their dynasty is over, in my opinion, and they're just never going to be the same force to be reckoned with. They're getting old. Their core is getting older. Andy Reid's pushing 70, so I think the Chiefs are done. Like, yeah, their run is over. They had a nice run, but it's over. But despite all that for Kansas City, okay, I'm not that dense. Tennessee is awful. They are 3-11. They are coming off getting destroyed by the 49ers. It was 37-24, but don't let that score fool you. It was much more of a blowout than the score would suggest. So, despite all that, I'm still going to take Kansas City to win this game simply because they're playing the Titans, and I can't trust Tennessee to win a game. Like, literally, if the Chiefs were playing just about anybody else, I'd pick against them again. But because they're playing Tennessee, I'm going to take Kansas City. But this may very well be the last time that I pick the Chiefs to win this season. So, yeah, enjoy it while you can, guys. Bengals and the Dolphins down in Miami. The Bengals got shut out at home by the Ravens in a game that was about 17 degrees in Cincinnati. And they are 4-10 on the year. 24-0 loss at home to the Ravens. First time they've been shut out since 2017 when it was at home against the Ravens. So, yeah, what are the odds of that? Funny how the NFL works sometimes. But they're 4-10. Officially eliminated from playoff contention, and all they can really do is just see what they have for next year and get as high of a draft pick as they possibly can, because they're not getting the first overall pick. That's going to go to either Vegas or the Giants. There is a chance the Bengals could still pick in the top 3 because they did lose to the Jets. So if I'm a Bengals fan, I am rooting for the Jets to win, okay? Because the Jets have the tiebreaker over the Bengals. So if the Bengals lose this game while the Jets win, then that would put the Jets in front of the Bengals. So if I'm a Bengals fan, I'm rooting for the Jets to win as well, because the Bengals, they need a top 5 pick. They need as much defensive help as they possibly can. Zach Taylor needs to get out of here. So that's the storyline with the Bengals. Joe Burrow got sacked 3 times through 2 interceptions. Bengals still have a lot of good weapons, but, what good is it if they are just not putting up anything? So, yeah, Bengals fans, you are not having fun right now, if you catch my drift. Anyway, the Dolphins, they still have to play on Monday night against the Steelers. Like I said at the beginning of this, I am recording this on Monday afternoon, the best time I can get it right now. But regardless of what happens between the Dolphins and Steelers, I think I'm going to go with the Dolphins to win this game. Tua, he does have his turnover problems a lot, but Miami, they're definitely not going to be in the playoffs. I at least don't expect them to be in the playoffs, but Miami's at least trying, They have a newfound life with Chris Greer. There's really nothing Miami can do right now, because, if they make the playoffs, they're going to get KO'd in round 1. If they miss the playoffs, they're going to have a middle first round pick. So Miami is just kind of stuck right now. So really, all they can do is just give it their best effort. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Dolphins to win this game. That would put Cincinnati at 4-11. And like I said, if I'm a Bengals fan, I'm rooting for the Jets to win as well. But I am going to take the Dolphins to win this one over Cincinnati. Later slate of Sunday games, we got a very hard one to me. Atlanta Falcons and the Arizona Cardinals down in Glendale. So the Falcons are coming off of a stunning comeback win over the Bucs on Thursday, 29-28. As I said a bit ago, they rallied from a 14-point deficit and beat the Bucs. So Atlanta, they are still not going to the playoffs, but they're 5-9 on the year, I think. Whatever the record, I don't care. Atlanta sucks, but yeah, they're taking on Arizona, who got beat down pretty badly by the Houston Texans. So, I would have made this a toilet bowl, but I can't ignore Jets Saints. It's too obvious to ignore. But the storylines with this one, Atlanta, I think they need to get Bijan Robinson to be the X factor for their offense all game. Kirk Cousins, you can't really depend on him to be the chief as far as their offense goes, because Kirk Cousins is past his prime. He's in his twilight, and he's another guy that needs to call it a career. You got Michael Penix, who's been out for the rest of the year for weeks now. So Atlanta, there's really not much they can do. They're banged up on wide receivers as well, so they really need to get Bijan Robinson going here. Then you got the Cardinals. They are injured all around as well. And, that's a shame because Arizona defensively, they are pretty tough. Jacoby Brissett is looking like he'll be their guy, at least for the foreseeable future, because I don't think Kyler Murray's going to be wearing a Cardinal uniform next year. They're looking to move on from him, in my opinion. I don't think Kyler Murray's going to be around, but I'm going to begrudgingly take Atlanta here because these are types of games the Falcons love to lose, because they've done it so often this year. Okay, like they did it against the Jets a few weeks ago. I just have no trust with Atlanta at all. I keep saying I can't pick Atlanta until I know for a fact that I can pick them. I don't know for a fact if I can fully trust Atlanta here, but it's just the team they're going up against in Arizona. They've been really bad all year as well. So, and also with the way that Atlanta came back and beat Tampa on Thursday night, and the fact that they have 3 days rest, I think those favors lean towards Atlanta. So, yeah, I'm begrudgingly taking Atlanta to win, but, man, I really want to take the Cardinals to win. But, yeah, Arizona's season's been shot to hell when I thought that they could have been a sneaky playoff team this year, and they're looking like they're probably going to be picking in the top 10 or even top 5. But I'm taking Atlanta to win this one here. We got another really good one here. Possible playoff preview between the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Denver Broncos out in Denver. The Jags coming off steamrolling the Jets behind quite possibly the best game of Trevor Lawrence's entire career, where he lit up the Jets for 5 touchdown passes and over 300 passing yards. Travis Etienne also had a 3-touchdown day, and the Jags are 10-4. They now lead the AFC South, and I believe they are the number 3 seed in the AFC. So, yeah, like I said earlier about the Bills entry, like I said, Jacksonville, they're a very good team. They're a tough defensive team, but still, Trevor Lawrence had that one great game against one of the worst teams in the NFL. I still don't trust Trevor Lawrence because he is turnover happy as well. So, if Jacksonville can find consistency and Trevor Lawrence can finally play like the top prospect that he was hyped up to be when he was drafted, Jacksonville can be a really dangerous team. And they are really good right now. They're 10-4 leading the AFC South. And yeah, they got a huge test here going into Denver, taking on the Broncos, who've won 11 in a row. They're 12-2 on the year, best record in the NFL. Got a great win over the Green Bay Packers, 34-26. And Bo Nix, he was no slouch himself either. 4 touchdown passes, was very efficient, 302 yards. And the Broncos got it done over the Jags. So people that said the Broncos are frauds, what do you got to say now? I didn't think the Broncos were frauds at all. I said this Broncos team was going to be a playoff team before the season even began. I just didn't think they'd win the West. But yeah, this Denver team playing like how I thought they would. And then some. 11 straight wins. Like I said, they just beat a really good Green Bay team. And earlier, like 2 months ago, they rallied from a 14-point deficit in Philly and beat the Eagles in Philly. That's not something fraudulent teams do. That's something that great teams do. And the Broncos are a great team. Anyone in the AFC would not want to face the Broncos. Great defense, very opportunistic offense, productive offense, efficient season from Bo Nix. RJ Harvey had a great game. And this Denver team is going to be really tough to beat in the playoffs. They wrapped up a playoff spot with that win over Green Bay. And I don't think Denver can wrap up the West this week because they still got to play the Chargers and Chiefs. But yeah, this is going to be a huge test for the Jaguars here, as I just said. If Trevor Lawrence can turn in even half of what he did against the Jets, against the Broncos, then I will be sold on Jacksonville's offense. I think their defense is going to show up here. So it's going to be a battle of, once again, whose defense blinks first. To me, that would probably be Jacksonville's defense, just because I think the Broncos' offense is just simply better, and I trust Bo Nix more than I trust Trevor Lawrence. Okay? So it's going to come down to that. I think Denver's offense a little bit about on the same level as Jacksonville's defense, but I like Denver's defense more than Jacksonville's offense. If Jacksonville, they can force Bo Nix into third and long situations and make him use his legs like he can, then that's going to be an advantage for Jacksonville. RJ Harvey can be a really good X factor for Denver. He had a nice game against the Packers. So, yeah, to me, I like Denver's defense more than Jacksonville's offense, and that's my X factor here. If you make Trevor Lawrence be indecisive and you expose him for being the indecisive QB and the inconsistent QB that he is, that's going to increase your chances of winning. So this is going to be a really close one. I think it's going to be a great game. But I'm going to go ahead and take the Broncos to keep it rolling. I got them pulling off a dozen wins in a row here, get to 13-2, and they're marching towards a first-round bye in the AFC because New England lost in that insurmountable way against Buffalo. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Broncos to pull it off over Jacksonville and get to 13-2. Jacksonville drops a tough one to go to 2-5. And that would be a tough loss for Jacksonville because next up we got the Vegas Raiders going to Houston to play the Texans. So speaking of that, nice transition right there. The Texans are coming off dominating the Arizona Cardinals. They are 9-5 on the year. They've won 6 in a row. Houston's number one defense lived up to their billing once again. They continue to dominate. CJ Stroud continues to improve, and the offense continues to be great. Vegas, as I've said a couple of times already, they are 2-11 or 2-12 on the year, continuing to rival the Giants for being the number one overall pick. This is going to be my lock and spread of the week. I'm going to make this another 2-for-1. 27-7 Houston over Vegas. The question is, do I think 15 is enough for Houston to cover? I think it absolutely is. Because this Vegas team is tanking. They are coming off getting shut out 31-0 to Philly. And now they got to go up against the number one defense in the league and the red hot Texans, who are battling for a playoff spot and looking to possibly win the AFC South now. I think 15 is more than enough for Houston. I'm actually surprised it's not higher. So yeah, Houston's my lock of the week, and I got them taking this in my spread as well, 27-7. And then we got my matchup, the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Detroit Lions in Detroit. I've said all year, if there is one game that the Steelers are guaranteed to lose, it's this one. And guess what? That has not changed. Even though the Steelers have not played yet as of this recording, to me, it doesn't matter. The Steelers are just simply not good enough to roll around with a team like Detroit's caliber. The Lions, they lost 41-34 to the Rams, but Detroit was able to put up points in that loss. It was a hard-fought game for the Lions. They came up short against their old quarterback. Detroit, they just got too much firepower up on that offense, with Jared Goff actually having a nice game. Amon-Ra St. Brown had a nice game. Jahmyr Gibbs, big game for him. You got Sonic and Knuckles in the backfield right there. That's just too much for this rush defense here. When Jared Goff has a clean pocket, he's at his best, and the Steelers' pass rush is feast or famine. They will either have games where they get like 4 or 5 sacks on the quarterback, or they don't generate any pressure at all and they can't even get to the quarterback. So there's that. Defensively, Detroit, they are banged up, and maybe Aaron Rodgers and the offense can have a nice game here against a banged-up Detroit offense, but I'm not counting on it. They couldn't take advantage of the Chicago Bears when they were banged up on defense, when the Bears had their best linebackers and corners missing, and you didn't see the Steelers attack the middle of the field at all. I think this is going to be pretty similar to the Chicago game, even though I don't think it's going to be a close game. I think Detroit's just going to murder them here. I will say, Aiden Hutchinson, last week, I said I wasn't sure who could win Comeback Player of the Year because Daniel Jones' injury. But I think Aiden Hutchinson has a great chance at it now because I remembered he got injured last year and missed most of the season last year against the Cowboys. But Aiden Hutchinson has looked really good thus far, so I like his chances at winning Comeback Player of the Year, so massive shout out to him. But with that said, I think Aiden Hutchinson also cost the Lions a touchdown in that game against the Rams, where it was as a clear of a day fumble 6 recovery for him, and he kept turning around and looking his head when there was like no one there. There was no one there. There was nothing but green in the end zone right in front of him. If he literally just kept his head straight and kept going to the end zone, he would have had an easy fumble 6 touchdown right there. But he didn't, and he got stopped. And the difference in that game was a touchdown. Detroit lost 41-34. So, yeah, that was costly right there for Detroit. But still, Aiden Hutchinson is now my Comeback Player of the Year favorite right here. But yeah, Detroit, like I said all year, if there's a game the Steelers are guaranteed to lose, it's this one. I'm taking Detroit to win easily. Sunday Night Football, check your local listings, as we got the New England Patriots going to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. So the Patriots, like I said, they were up 21-0 on Buffalo and lost 35-31. So the Patriots wrapping up the East, not on Buffalo's watch, not in front of them, okay? I still think, like, New England's absolutely still going to be in the playoffs, but for those people that said that New England is a juggernaut again and that they run the AFC again, yeah, I don't think so, because the Pats, like I said, not taking anything away from them. They're 11-3, great year. But let's not act like they've been beaten up on a bunch of world beaters either, okay? They had 2 great wins, Buffalo and Tampa. They also beat a lot of trash teams as well. So, I think this year, if they go far, that's going to be already their test. But next year's going to be the true test, especially if they do, in fact, end up winning the East. Something you also got to remember, and I watched Good Morning Football on Monday, all right? Something you also got to take into consideration. In the past, the Bills have rallied from being down by multiple games within the East to come back and win the East. And going into the New England game, they were 2 games back of the Patriots, and now they're only a game back of them. So that was a massive win for Buffalo right there. Statement win for the Bills. So the Patriots, I still think New England's absolutely still going to be in the playoffs, but as far as them hosting a playoff game goes, that's in doubt now. As for the Ravens, shut out the Bengals 24-0. And to their credit, Lamar Jackson had a really nice game against the Bengals, but again, I'm not really impressed. Cincinnati's defense sucks. Historically bad defense, But, yeah, Ravens, they're back to 500 at 7-7, and they're taking on the Pats now. So, the question here is if the Patriots can stop the run, because Josh Allen and Jared Cook were the catalysts in that Buffalo game, like they've been all year. Jared Cook went off once again, and now they're going up against Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, which is definitely not an easy task at all. So my question is, can the Pats stop the run? Mike Vrabel, if he is the defensive guru that he is, he will definitely make adjustments to that Patriots run defense. But again, you're going up against Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. And New England, with the way that their defense imploded against Buffalo, that is going to be very, very difficult. So, to me, if Drake May is to show his MVP worth, it's this game right here, because the way I see it, the Patriots need to win a shootout. I think they're capable of winning a shootout because I don't trust Baltimore's defense, even though they did pitch a shutout against one of the best defenses in the league. But you got to keep in mind, the Bengals just look completely lifeless as well. I really don't think the Bengals are even trying at this point right now. They know their season's done. And Joe Burrow has hinted in the past week that he might retire early and that he's not having fun. So I just don't really trust the Bengals. Whereas I absolutely trust New England because they got something to play for. So As a Steelers fan, I absolutely hate these two teams. So I gotta go with the team that's the lesser of the two evils to me. And to me, that's New England. Because even though the Patriots do have 4 playoff wins over the Steelers, we don't play New England every year. We play Baltimore at least twice a year. Sometimes we even play them 3 times a year. So, yeah, I'm going with the lesser of the two evils here. I'm going to go ahead and take New England simply because I trust them more than I trust Baltimore right now. So I'm taking the Pats to win this one. And wrapping up Week 16, we got Monday Night Football between the 49ers and the Colts in Indianapolis. Well, weeks ago, this would have been a great matchup, but not looking so great right now. 49ers are 10-4, making a strong case for clinching a playoff spot in the NFC with all the injuries they've had, all the adversity they've gone through. Brock Purdy playing really good football. Kyle Shanahan has to be in the running for Coach of the Year. If not him, Luke Cohen down in Jacksonville. What a year for San Francisco, man. You know, how resilient is this 49er team? Stomping the Tennessee Titans, which, yeah, the Titans suck, but still. 10-4, and just, you got to give San Francisco a lot of credit, man. Then you got the Colts. What a tragedy for them. They lose Daniel Jones for the rest of the season with an Achilles. They go ahead and sign and bring, this isn't an exaggeration, Old Man Rivers. They bring Old Man Phillip Rivers back out of retirement, sign him to be their quarterback. Like, the guy has 10 children. And his oldest kid has a child. This dude's literally a grandpa playing in the NFL. It's not an exaggeration to call him Grandpa Phil. He's literally a grandpa. And the Colts lost a tough one to Seattle 18-16, where Rivers was in position to win the game for the Colts, but like he did so often throughout his career, he threw a game-losing interception where he threw a touchdown pass earlier in the game, but when it came down to the wire, you could just never trust Phillip Rivers to come through in the clutch. And that's my thing about Phillip Rivers. Every time I saw Phillip Rivers on the field, I never saw a quarterback that was going to win the game. I saw a quarterback that was just going to screw up in the clutch and not get the job done. And Phillip Rivers did it again. Another game-losing interception. So credit to Indy's defense, though. They kept Seattle out of the end zone. And, like, that's the thing. The Colts have also had a really good defense this year, too. So, credit to the Colts defense. Now they're going against the 49ers. So, does Indy keep San Francisco out of the end zone as well? I don't know about that. But to me, the fact that the Colts are just so depleted right now, and they're just so out of it right now, I got to go ahead and take San Francisco. They got something to play for. And they're looking to clinch the playoffs despite everything that they have gone through this season. And Indy, like, I don't know. If Daniel Jones was healthy enough for this game, I would probably take the Colts. But I got to go with San Francisco. They're just the team that I trust more. So I'm taking the 49ers to win this one. And that'll wrap things up. Those are my Week 16 picks. Tourney members, let me know what you think down in the comments below. Even if you're not in the tourney, I'd love to hear your picks, and I will see you in the next one.